I like to pre-roll my slabs. These were 650 grams lumps of clay that I rolled out to 5 millimeters. I do a few at a time, then I cover it up with cling wrap, and then I can sit down and make a few mugs at the same time. This template that I'm using is 1/3 of an A4 sheet of paper. I like to use a ruler when I cut off the excess. That way they are straight lines. I use my fingers to then smoothen out the edges. This is a cake fondant silicone mat. It gives texture to one side of the clay and the other side of the clay a texture rolling pin. These were intended for cakes and for biscuits, but here I'm using it for pottery. Lovely texture. I flip it over and then peel off the silicone fondant mat. I place the template back on and then trim one edge. I use a cookie cutter to then cut out the base for the mug. From experience, I know that I need to add about 1 centimeter from the template. Using a beveling tool, I add a bevel to both sides. Then I use a needle tool to score the seam. And then I add a slip. I do the same on the other side. Here I'm using a soda can. This helps keep the shape firm. I press the seams together and smooth it out. Then I score the base. I add my maker's mark to one side of the base, and then I score around the base piece, as well as adding slip. I add slip to the base piece of the mug as well. I place the base piece and gently nudge it together. That's the body piece done, and now we can work on the handle. I take one of the pieces from the leftover and measure 1.5 centimeters for the handle. I smooth the edges of the handle piece and I curve it to a shape that I like. I then score both of the edges of the handle piece. I apply some slip and then I place it on the body of the mug. The slip leaves an imprint of where I then score on the body of the mug. I apply slip to that too. Then I place the two pieces together. I kind of wiggle the handle around to make sure that it has good attachment. And then I use this loop tool to form a sausage, a very thin sausage that I can then use to wrap around the seam of the handle. I also use the needle tool to then tidy up the sausage. Finally, I use a brush tool to tidy up the seam. This can take a while. it's time to work on the inside of the mug. I can take out the can, and I can also take out the paper. Using a brush, I then tidy up the inside seam of the mug. It's hard to know where to stop in terms of fiddling around with a handle, but I also spent some time to tidy up the rim of the mug because I want it to be slightly rounded, so it fits the lips better. Finally, I place a rim tool to make sure that the mug is nice and round. And here are the pieces that I've played with. And finally, here they are glazed. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one. Bye!